Doug, welcome to But What Does the Bible Say? It's really good to have you here, and thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you for having me. I like the goatee on you.
Yeah, I think the last time I had a full beard, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, and you also had more hair on the top.
Yep. It
So,
was
how
time.
are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. And you? How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. I'm just last night I had beef Wellington with some company that I had over, and it was the first time I tried it, and it was really good.
Well, that's good. That's really good. I like beef Wellington myself. So just to let our listeners know, I just recently, I was just recently on Doug's show on a YouTube channel called Movie Maker Doug 55, where we had a wonderful discussion about some great moments in Old Testament and New Testament history. So to make sure, just make sure that you go check out Movie Maker Doug 55 on YouTube so you can go check out his channel. It's really awesome. It was an awesome time. And thank you, Doug, for having me on your show. When I was there, I had a great time.
No problem. I'm glad you really enjoyed it. And I'm still working on promoting the videos, but we got some views, and a lot of people and my followers agreed with what we said.
Well, that's good. That's good. So, just to kick this off, let's go ahead and start with some questions, Doug. If you could, just to tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit, a little bit of who you are. Okay.
Okay. Oh man, where do I begin? I could talk for 3 hours doing this. But okay, yeah, my name is Douglas Nelson Kenney. That's my full name. And I'm originally from Estes Park, Colorado, which is next to the Rocky Mountain National Park. And so growing up, I obviously was outdoors a lot of the time. And when I was born, my mother noticed when holding me for the first time that there was something different about me because I wasn't really, as a baby, I wasn't emotional. Like I was kind of deadpan when looking at her. And everybody else in my family noticed it as well. And a couple years later, a few years later, when I was 4 years old, I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, which is a form of autism.
Right.
And I, growing up was a little bit tough. I struggled with interacting with people, and I also struggled with bullying. And the thing was this, people were bullying me without partly because, I was struggling to fit in with them, but looking back, I think some of them were doing it without realizing what they were doing. And
Okay.
I even had my personal bully. His name was Woo Woo. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a little bit tough, but you know, and then as I got older, I matured, and I went through a little bit of a heated education at my school district in Estes, and you know, I had a couple good years in my education, but some of them were not really. I wasn't on top of my game. And then in 2000 in 2010, I hit a rock bottom year. It was my first rock bottom year. I had some things going on in my personal life that I won't get into, but and then I had a mental breakdown, and I was hospitalized at a Denver Children's Hospital.
Okay.
Yeah. And then a couple years later, due to circumstances that you can read in a couple books I've written, I left Estes Park and went to Florence, Arizona. And I had my high school education in Florence, and it was at Florence High School. And at first it started out very well. It started out very well. Like, it I was on top of things as far as learning and making friends, and I had a very supportive staff that invested heavily into me.
Really
In
good.
fact, I had a great teacher named Mrs. Chandra Bird, who helped me become an author for the first time while I was in high school. It was in my freshman year. And the result was I wrote a book. It was a tabloid. It was a small tabloid story based on my Estes Park life, and it was very successful. And because of what, because I published it in my freshman year, I was the first person in the history of my high school to become an author, a published author while I was in high school, and that was pretty cool.
That is really cool. And even though said it in the intro, in the introduction, can you tell us a little bit about the books that you wrote? Because I know you wrote two of them, correct?
I've actually written seven.
Seven books. There you go. See, you're opening my eyes to some more that you did that I didn't even realize.
Yeah, and my first one is titled From Green Flags to Blue Flags: The Story of My Life, and that was the tabloid one I mentioned, which means it was told for humorous purposes. It wasn't really, it was fictionally true, let's say, because I can't reveal certain info about it until I was mature. But it was very successful, and in 2013 I promoted it at a transition conference in Scottsdale. And I have to tell you, with what I went through growing up and all that, the fact that did a book signing there, I was on top of the world, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really awesome to see that.
Yeah. And then I went to that conference, and the feeling I got from it was, I was like, I'm on top of the world, and I'm sure things are going to get better. So
Right.
I was taking it for granted, and I didn't realize at the time that things would actually go downhill after that.
Right.
you know.
Now you did write a second part to from green flags to blue flags, correct?
Yeah, and the second one is titled that, and the second part of the title is The Amazing Comeback of an Autistic Spokesperson. And in that one, I wrote about the struggles I went through after the transition conference. What happened was, after the conference, my life went downhill for a while.
Hmm.
And I began struggling academically, and at the same time I developed some health issues. Like, I developed a sleep disorder that caused me to have problems in school. And at the same time, I also developed a couple illnesses like strep throat, one for a couple weeks, and I also had problems with obesity. I developed a sugar and soda addiction that got out of hand. And,
Uh,
you know, part of
mm,
the reason I think I had health problems was I don't think I was taking care of
yeah,
myself and my body. And one thing I've learned is, God gives you one body, you have to take care of it.
absolutely. I saw that on your YouTube channel that you've been doing a lot of workouts and stuff like that too, and on Instagram. So
Yeah, and that's a journey that we could probably do in another episode like this, or with Andy McPhee, because he's helped me in that. But yeah, what happened was I developed health problems, and then I was hospitalized for another mental breakdown in November 2014. So I was back to rock bottom, and then at the same time, I also was struggling a little bit on social media. I was struggling with the hormones of being a teenager,
yeah,
and I said some things on social media that I regretted, and things that should never be said, even if what you said was true. And you know, it is what it is. You can't do anything about it now, but I had to clean up a lot of the messes I caused on social media in the years afterwards.
right. Well, and you did that, and you're coming back, and that's great, right? So
Yep, and what matters is I did come back, and I had two wake-up calls that helped me turn my life around. One of them was in 2016. At the time, I was in the middle of a parental divorce, and that was the lowest year of my life. And I visited my hometown of Estes Park, Colorado, for the first time since I left, and I went to an event that was hosted by some of my former schoolmates, which was the Estes Park bonfire. And I got to see some of my former schoolmates there. And the most notable was a student that I admired growing up named yeah, and I saw him, at the bonfire, and I was ecstatic to see him, but uh I I could kind of tell by how I interacted with him that he was kind enough to shake hands with me and get a selfie with me,
Right.
but I could tell that he had no interest in seeing me again, if you know what I mean.